Hi guys, Harbs Narbs here. Today we're going to be looking at the possible inspiration for Raphael, as well as a theory on what he wants and why he wants it. This video does contain some DATAMINED spoilers, so if you don't want to know anything, then please stop watching now. Okay, let's go. Raphael is without a doubt one of the most intriguing characters in Baldur's Gate 3, and it is likely not a coincidence that he is called Raphael. In the three Abrahamic religions, Raphael is an archangel, and whilst there he is a representation of good, it is still quite apparent that whoever wrote the Cambion has taken inspiration from the biblical Raphael, twisting his character into something evil. One of the main biblical inspirations in this scene is when Raphael says the following.
Go on, partake, enjoy your supper. After all, it might just be your last.
So it is pretty important to note here that Raphael says the word supper and doesn't say dinner, meal or any other synonymous word. This is obviously important when we consider that in the accepted story of Jesus, in most denominations of Christianity, there was a Last Supper before he was crucified. Now, what this could nod to is that the writers are simply having fun with the idea that Raphael may be based loosely upon the Archangel, and it is nothing more than that. Perhaps Raphael is simply implying that this is or could be literally the last meal before they transform into illithids. Or it could symbolize the very nature of who the players are. True souls themselves seem to be chosen by the Absolute, but the player characters seem to be extra special, and Raphael might even know this. I've spoken before about how when we fell from the Nautiloid, we were saved by a mysterious being, and that others who were implanted with a tadpole were not saved in the same way. This unfortunate man was not rescued like we were.
Put me here. Put something in my eye. Fire. Screaming, then crunch.
After patch 4 hit, we could see the following in the game files. A being called Orpheus is protecting me, shielding me from the worst of the parasite's magic. Well, who is Orpheus? It was datamined a while back that it was Helm who commanded Jurgle to look after the player characters. Could it be him? Maybe. But nevertheless, this is important because it singles out the player characters as important. Are they chosen ones, heralds of a new age, or even messiahs protected by deities for an as yet unknown purpose? I imagine Orpheus is a codename for someone in the realms, but in ancient Greek mythology, Orpheus was a famous musician, poet and prophet who descended into the underworld to reclaim the soul of his wife, Eurydice. His music was so beautiful that he was told that he was allowed to take Eurydice back into the world of the living, on the condition that he would walk in front of her and not look back until they reached the surface world. However, on their ascent to the surface, Orpheus was suspicious that Hades had tricked him, so as he reached the top and stepped into the daylight, he turned his head as Eurydice had not yet reached the surface. But as he turned, she disappeared back into the underworld. There is no surprise that a game set in the Forgotten Realms would have heavy links to the gods, but there are also the concepts of death and going to and returning from the hells, just like Orpheus. So what else can we see that may have inspired Raphael's character? Well, in its Hebrew roots, the name Raphael means to heal, and he is the patron saint of very specific ailments such as mental illness, insanity, nightmares, sick people, travelers and eye problems. He even talks about the process of ceremorphosis in a way as if it can be cured, as if what will happen to us will simply be symptoms of a disease rather than some grander magical process.
All those pretty little symptoms, sundering skin, dissolving guts, they haven't manifested yet, have they?
In the Book of Tobit in the Old Testament, Raphael is known to be a physician and someone who can remove demons from people. He also describes himself as a saviour and rather ironically says the following.
Because my compassion is boundless, I stride among the needy, giving comfort where I can.
In fact, when he talks about the House of Hope, he describes it in a way that makes it seem altruistic, as if he helps people without the need for something in return. The House of Hope is the name for many organizations around the world that help people. And in Forgotten Realms lore, it is also the name of a temple to Tymora within the city of Tantris. Tymora is the goddess of luck and good fortune, of which Raphael makes several references to.
One might say you're a paragon of luck. I'll be there when it runs out. Hope. Such a tease.
And although I don't think that Raphael is literally in that House of Hope, it could be a name he has adopted as a slightly sadistic and ironic joke. But why is Raphael so interested in us? Well, when we meet him, he tells us a lullaby.
The mouse smiled brightly. It outfoxed the cat. Then down came the claw. And that, love, was that. They do know how to write them in Cormier, don't they? Well met, I am Raphael. Very much at your service. Neither. The fox, rather. Hiding, in a word. A silent observer, about to break the silence.
Now, Raphael is the fox, watching from the outside, but who is the cat and who is the mouse? Yes, it's time to analyse this potentially meaningless lullaby in a manner that would make my GCSE English teacher proud. The mouse smiled brightly, it outfoxed the cat. We, the player characters, are the mouse, having technically outfoxed the cat that represents the Mind Flayers, given that we have escaped the final process by not going to Moonrise Towers. However, then came down the claw, and that love was that, symbolising that inevitably the cat will eventually get the mouse, even if it has already escaped the cat once before. This is possibly visible in the mass transformation of people in Baldur's Gate here, and the immediate change that we can witness upon the Nautiloid. Neither, the fox rather, hiding in a word, a silent observer about to break the silence. This confirms that the lullaby wasn't just some abstract and unusual way to break the ice. Raphael is a part of it. How long he has been observing us is unknown, but if we get captured by Priestess Gut, then his warlock will come to rescue us, and she tells us the following.
My master has been keeping a close eye on you. When you got yourself in this predicament, he sent me to help.
In files that can be found within English.xml, we can see that Raphael will obviously want the artifact that Shadowheart has. But why would Raphael want the artifact? Well, leverage is a pretty good guess. It is desired by the Githyanki, the Illithids, and the Church of Shar. And we know from the canon ending of the comic book Infernal Tides that Zariel's position in the Nine Hells has been weakened when she did not manage to acquire Elturel, and that an archdevil called Bel is making significant moves against her. Of course, devils are always moving against her, but as this is described in a canon comic, it seems more concrete. Bel's servant says the following to Crydal, the son of Corran from Baldur's Gate 1. If Zariel's mission to acquire Elturel fails, her standing in the infernal hierarchy will suffer. In Descent into Avernus, it is made clear that ambition is rewarded in the Nine Hells, and it is written, ruling a layer of the Nine Hells as a mortal is effectively impossible. None of the devils of Avernus will knowingly serve anyone but a superior devil. However, Asmodeus admires ambition. The Lord of the Nine Hells might see a brash and powerful mortal as a worthy replacement for Zariel. In the Book of Tobit, the Archangel Raphael is known to assist a mortal in binding a demon prince known as Asmodeus. Could it be possible that Raphael has ambitions way beyond his current station, and that the artifact will give him the leverage necessary to improve his standing in the Nine Hells? Or is he working for someone like Bel? If it is coincidental that he is called Raphael and he was not inspired in any way by the Archangel Raphael, then fair enough. We can chalk this up to a big shot in the dark, but I'd be quite surprised if the Archangel wasn't a source of some inspiration.
Holy in hells, you're a Cambion.
And so much more.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, then do please give me a like and subscribe, and if you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram or check out the Patreon, then the links are all down below. See you next time. Bye.